Your sister deserves your bonus, Mom said. She's struggling. I said, no. They sent 19 texts demanding I transfer $11,000 for her apartment. I replied, don't text again. That night, I sold everything, froze every card, blocked them all, and moved to Portugal. By morning, 92 missed calls for emails from their lawyer. My name's Max. I'm 31, oldest of two, the one who files everyone's taxes and remembers Wi-Fi passwords. I write boring code for a payment company and save my paychecks like a squirrel with anxiety. I don't drink much. I run at night. I have an Excel sheet for everything. In my family, I'm the stable one, which is another way of saying the one who'll fix it when we break it. My sister Lena is 27 and bright in a loud way. Big laugh, big gestures, big ideas. She jumps from job to job the way you scroll through apps. When she calls, it's always 2 minutes, promise. And then an hour later, I'm Venmoing her because her card randomly declined. Dad retired early and watches sports with the TV louder than a jet engine. Mom keeps the peace by avoiding the truth and telling everyone what they want to hear, especially Lena. Sunday dinner at my parents' place is a ritual. Meatballs, garlic bread, a too-long prayer. I show up with a salad because I'm the responsible eater. The table is already set when I walk in. Dad is on the couch arguing with a referee through the screen. Lena's at the kitchen island tapping through her phone like it owes her money. Mom hugs me, smells like laundry detergent and rosemary. We sit, pass dishes, fake small talk. I'm halfway through my second meatball when Mom clears her throat and folds her napkin like she's about to deliver a sermon. Your sister deserves your bonus, Mom says. She's struggling. The fork pauses in my hand. I glance at Dad. He doesn't look up. Lena puts on a soft voice I know too well. It's just until next month. My apartment wants an additional deposit. Stupid policy. It's not policy, Dad mutters. It's because you were late twice. Mom cuts him a look. Back to me. 11,000. You have it. She needs it. Family helps family. I stare at the red sauce on my plate. My chest tightens the way it does before a steep hill on a run. There's a picture on the wall of the three of us at the beach. Dad sunburned. Lena holding a kite. Me in a hat that didn't fit. I feel 12 again. Sensible. Boring. Useful. Lena leans forward. Maxie, you got that bonus for, like, fixing fraud or whatever. You barely even celebrate. Let me. No, I say. Just that. A clean word. It lands like a dropped glass. Mom's lips press together. Don't be dramatic. Dad finally looks over. It's a loan. It's a no. I repeat, and I can feel the air change, thin and sharp, like the house turned at an angle I'd never noticed before. You don't say no once in my family. You say it, and then you get a round of revisions. When I was 18, I worked nights at a grocery store and used my first paycheck to buy Lena a graphing calculator because Mom said hers got lost. In college, I skipped spring break to wire 3 months' rent when Dad's consulting check got held. When Lena wanted to switch majors one last time, I covered the extra fees. It was always temporary. It was always urgent. It was always me. I'm not a hero. I'm a spreadsheet with legs. I kept doing it because it was easier than fighting, and because somewhere inside I believed that if I kept paying, one day I'd be seen as more than a wallet. I pictured a future where they said thank you in a way that stuck. Then I got the bonus. Mid-year. We'd stopped a fraud ring. My manager said, nice job. HR said, direct deposit on Friday. I didn't post about it. I moved a chunk to savings and another to a brokerage account I named Portugal. A joke with myself. A tab in my brain labeled someday. After dinner, I put on coffee while Mom rinsed plates. This is a family crisis, she said, voice low, water running. Lena could be evicted. In April, she wasn't paying rent because she was in Tulum, I said. Her words. She was networking, Mom said, as if networking meant infinity mimosas and pool floats shaped like swans. Lena appeared in the doorway with her phone. Max, listen, the deposit is just, it's a show of good faith. They see the funds, they chill. Dad turned up the TV volume. It's 11 grand, not a kidney. It's 11 grand, I said, louder than I meant to. The coffee machine choked and sputtered. Why is it always me? Mom's face went stiff. Because you can. That's why God gives more to some. So they can help. I felt something sour crawl up my throat. God didn't sign her lease. Lena's eyes flashed. I'm trying, okay? I had 2 interviews this week. You left one halfway through to take a call, I said. She told me like it was funny. And the other, you asked for remote from day one. That's normal now, she snapped. You're ancient. Enough, Mom said. We're not doing this. I thought we were done. We weren't. Monday at 7:18 a.m. I woke to a text from Mom. We'll need the transfer by Friday. No question mark. Then from Lena. Can you just sell it in chunks if that's easier? Like 3K, 3K, 5K. A calendar invite popped up from Mom titled Security Deposit, Family. I didn't accept it. At lunch, Dad called. Your mother's stressed. Be a good son. Being a good son isn't the same as being a quiet wallet, I said. He sighed. We did a lot for you. Remember who co-signed your first car? You co-signed and I paid every month. On time. You're cold lately, he said, like it was a diagnosis. At 3:06 p.m., Lena sent a screenshot from her building's portal with a big red pending. Caption, this is literally my home. Then another, a selfie with shiny eyes, the lighting suspiciously tear-adjacent. Ick, why you hate me. I put my phone face down and try to work. The fraud dashboard blinked numbers. I kept thinking of that phrase Mom used, deserve your bonus. Like I'd won a prize and forgot it was hers to hand out. Like effort was communal, but rewards were not. By evening, the group chat had opinions. Aunt Vera, we always help our own. Cousin Jade, Lena, couch surfing would be humiliating for the family. Mom, Max loves us. He'll do the right thing. It felt like someone had rented a billboard with my name and put Grinch on it in bold. I drove to their apartment to drop off a toolbox Dad wanted. I didn't want to go up. I did anyway. The building smelled like old carpet and lemon cleaner. Mom opened the door before I knocked, like she'd been waiting. We can't sleep, she said. Just send it, and we'll all move on. Lena hovered behind her, phone in hand. 11. It's specific because of the pet fee. They're being insane. You don't have a pet, I said. She smiled, guilty and not. We're fostering first. I already got the bed and a tiny blue collar. She held up a bag. A tag dangled. It said Bailey in sparkly letters. He deserves a home. I stared at the tag. Something in me tightened like a wire. I pictured Portugal in my brokerage account, my silly tab, my someday heir. I pictured giving it away to a leash no one had asked me about. No, I said again. Quiet. Final. Mom's face hardened in a way I'd only seen on strangers. You're not family today, Maxwell. You're a calculator. I nodded, because that's what it felt like. Then I turned and left, because I knew the next thing out of my mouth would be something I couldn't take back. The first Real hit came the next morning. Not money. Reputation. A screenshot landed in my messages. Group chat with my name in it. Lena, Max says homelessness is a lesson. Aunt Vera, he's been different since he got that job. Dad, money changed him. Mom, pray for his heart. I didn't reply, but I took a screenshot of my own. Transfers from the last 3 years, line after line. $800 for car repair, $1,250 for deposit refill, $400 for interview suit, $2,000 credit card. Only this time. I sent it to Mom and Dad directly. No caption. Mom responded with a single bubble. We didn't ask for those. That was the moment I realized the trap. If I pay, I'm doing my duty. If I don't, I'm cruel. If I already paid, it never happened. By Wednesday, it wasn't just texts. It was pressure disguised as help. Aunt Vera offered to mediate. Jade suggested I do half now, half later. Dad said, take a loan against your bonus if you must. Lena posted a story with a quote. When people with plenty won't share, it's poverty of soul. The comments were little clapping hands. I kept my head down and watched something inside me shift from guilty to tired to clear. Clarity is quiet. It shows up like a closed door that doesn't need slamming. Thursday night, family dinner, take 2. I didn't plan to go. Then Mom called and said, come. We need to settle this like adults. Her tone said court date, not pasta. I brought a folder. Not to be dramatic. To be precise. When I walked in, the table was set, but no food was out. Dad stood by the window. Lena had brought backup. Her boyfriend, Tom, who once told me credit scores are fake constructs. He nodded at me like we were teammates. We weren't. Mom gestured to the chairs. Let's sit. I put the folder down. Before we start, ground rule. No shouting, no scripture, no threats. Just facts. Dad scoffed. Who do you think you are, a judge? I think I'm a man who's paid enough to ask for silence. Lena rolled her eyes. This is creepy, Max. Okay, Mom said, palms up. Facts. I slid out the first sheet, a simple table. Dates, amounts, purposes. Last 3 years, I said. Totals to $19,430. Transfers to Lena. Plus another $3,600 in utilities and phone lines I covered when Dad's card glitched. Mom opened her mouth. I held up a hand. Second sheet. It was a printout from Lena's building website where I'd created a guest account to read the actual notice. Not eviction, not even final warning. They asked for a deposit increase of $2,500 because of 2 late payments. I read. Not 11. Lena blinked. There's also the pet. Pet fees total $500 non-refundable plus $30 a month, I said. New math still equals less than 11. Tom coughed. You don't know their flexibility. You're right, I said. I called them. Flexibility means you can pay in 2 parts. There's also a hardship form. I slid the form across. Mom's cheeks flushed. You went behind our backs. I went behind the billboard you made with my name on it, I said. Fact 4. I lifted my phone and read from a note. Group chat claims I said homelessness is a lesson. I didn't. Here's what I said to Lena last month. I turned the screen. Budgets are boundaries, not punishments. Corny, yes. Not cruel. Dad's jaw flexed. Is this about embarrassing us? It's about not being a bank you can rob with a sad face, I said, and my voice shook for the first time, not with fear, but with the weight of all the times I'd swallowed words. I'm not doing it anymore. Lena tried a different angle. Soft. Max, I'm scared. They've been intense. I don't have anywhere else. You have options that start with phone calls you don't want to make. I pointed to the hardship form. Option 1. Option 2. You sell the designer couch you financed. Option 3. You move to a smaller place. Option 4. You ask the man sitting next to you to contribute more than vibes. Tom lifted his hands. I'm building a startup. So is your barber from the looks of it, I said, because sometimes pettiness is a vitamin. Mom's voice sharpened. Enough. Your sister deserves your bonus. She's been through so much. You sit on money. I nodded. Yes, Mom. I sit on money. Because I learned that when I stand on it, you pull the rug. Fact 5. I slid the last page. A simple plan I'd written for myself on Sunday after meatballs. Starting next month, I'm moving. New job lets me go remote. Rent is cheaper. It's time. Silence. Then laughter. Mom's. Short and disbelieving. Where? Across town. Lisbon, I said. And before you say that's dramatic, I've been saving for a long time. You just never asked about anything I wanted that wasn't an invoice. Lena squinted. You're not serious. I am. And I've made a decision, I said, hands flat on the table so I wouldn't clench them. I will not transfer 11,000. I will not transfer 2,000. I will not transfer 30. I am not your cushion anymore. If you need help filling a form, I'll help. If you need a budget, I'll sit with you. But I will not fund choices I didn't make. Dad's voice dropped into that warning tone I knew from childhood. Careful how you talk to your mother. Careful how you talk to your son, I said back, and the shock on his face told me he didn't expect me to have a spine. Mom stood up so fast her chair squealed. You're abandoning us. You keep using that word, I said. I think you mean, you're not paying. Those are different. Lena slammed her palm on the table. So you're fine with me getting kicked out? You won't be. You'll fill the form. And if I don't, she shot back. Then you'll learn what rent means, I said, and there it was, the line. I heard how it sounded. Firm, not cruel. Boundaries always sound mean to people who benefited from your lack of them. Mom's eyes went glassy. I misraised you. You raised me to fix things, I said. I'm finally fixing the right one. Dad reached for the folder and pushed it back at me like a bad report card. Take your papers. This family doesn't run on receipts. Maybe it should, I said. I slid the folder into my bag, stood, and felt that wire inside me stop vibrating. I didn't feel heroic. I felt tired and clear. On the way out, Lena called after me. You'll regret this when we're not talking. I turned. We haven't really been talking for years. We've been transacting. I left to the sound of Mom saying, we'll get a lawyer, like I'd stolen something. I hadn't. I just stopped giving. By the time I got home, they'd already drafted a new play. Shock and awe. 19 texts. Be reasonable. We raised you. Wire it now, and we'll forget your tone. Aunt Vera chimed in with, you'll never find a wife with that heart. Tom added a thumbs down. Lena sent me her lease PDF with highlighter like she was my manager. I typed one sentence, don't text again. Then I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, sat at my kitchen table, and opened the Portugal tab for the first time not as a joke, but as a door. People think decisions are big dramatic speeches. Sometimes they're quiet tasks done in a row. I made coffee at 9 p.m. and opened 3 tabs. My bank, my broker, my credit cards. I froze every card. Not because I was scared they'd take them, because the habit of access had to end. I set new passwords and 2-factor from a physical key. I disabled Apple Pay on every device. I logged out of family shared anything. Netflix. Prime. The cloud where 100 group photos lived. If that sounds cruel, imagine paying rent while someone borrows your login and then tells cousins you hate birthdays. I listed my couch, my bike, my second monitor, and the espresso machine I'd babied for 4 years. Cash only, I wrote. Pick up tonight or tomorrow morning. My apartment filled with strangers who said, "Great deal," and left me holding space where things used to be. Each goodbye felt lighter. I pulled out a folder I'd labeled Move with tabs. Lease, Visa, SIM, Health. I'd made it 6 months ago in a burst of late-night daring and then tucked it away like a fantasy. Now it was a checklist. I booked a one-way for Tuesday. I messaged my manager and said, "Formal notice coming in the morning, but I'm going remote abroad. I will keep my hours." He replied with a thumbs up and a gif of a sardine can. Portugal is sardines, right? I laughed for the first time that night. Small, surprised mind. I called my bank's fraud line and put a voice password on my profile. "No one can call in and cry and reset this," I told the agent. He said, "Happens more than you think," and I believed him. At 11:43 p.m., I opened the family chat to mute it and saw 50 new messages. The tone had shifted. Lena had gone from sweet to scorched. Max is abandoning us. Max has money and doesn't care. Max is punishing me because he's jealous I have a life. I almost replied with a photo of my empty living room. I didn't. I knew better. The goalpost would move. The scoreboard was rigged. Instead, I wrote privately to Mom and Dad. "I am not discussing money by text again. If you need me for anything that doesn't involve my wallet, call after the weekend." Mom replied instantly, "We have engaged counsel." "Okay," I typed. "Please have them email me." I created a filter. If sender contains at law, label noise. At midnight, I took out a small black notebook where I keep "do it even if scared" lists. I wrote, "Sell everything. Mail keys Monday. Cancel gym. Unlock phone for EU. Backup photos. Block numbers if they escalate. Remember, I am allowed to have a life." I slept 3 hours. Woke at 4 a.m. to a silent apartment and the faint hum of the fridge, which I'd soon unplug. I made toast on a pan. Packed a suitcase with clothes I actually wear. Left the suit that fits me like a scolding. Took 2 books. Passport. The physical security key. The folder. A Polaroid of me at the beach and the hat. At 6 a.m., my phone lit up like a slot machine. Missed calls stacked. 12, 28, 52, 92 by 7:12 a.m. For emails from a law office I didn't recognize. Subject lines that said demand and family duty, like those words could make a judge appear in my kitchen. I opened one. It was a fake scare letter dressed in big words. "Our client, your mother, asserts that she and her husband have a reasonable expectation of familial support in times of financial distress, blah blah, equitable reliance, blah, immediate transfer recommended to avoid reputational harm." It was nonsense and also very on brand. I moved them to the filter, labeled noise, not because I don't respect lawyers, because I refuse to treat blackmail with letterhead as law. I turned off my US number and set up a new one for travel. Then I did something small that felt huge. I walked to the kitchen drawer with the spare keys that had multiplied like rabbits over the years. Mom's, Dad's, Lena's, for when I need to borrow your blender. I put them in a zip bag, wrote a note, returning access, and slid it through their mail slot on my way out. No drama, just boundaries in a baggie. By noon, my couch was gone, my bike was gone. The espresso machine had found a new home with a guy who said, "I'm starting over too." We shook hands like 2 people who'd survived a storm. The last thing left was the TV. I left it. It had been a mirror more than a window these last months anyway. At 3 p.m., I met my landlord, handed over a notice and a check for the last month. "Short notice," he said, not unkind. "I know," I said. "Family stuff." He nodded in that universal way people do when they don't ask the details because they've had their own. Back home, I sat on the floor with a bowl of plain pasta and my laptop. I wrote a letter. Not to them. To myself at 22, who worked nights and thought love could be earned with transfers. You did your best. You were generous. Being used isn't generosity. It's silence. You are allowed to leave. I taped it inside the folder. At 5 p.m., another volley. "Mom, the family is ashamed." "Dad, this will have consequences." "Lena, I hope Portugal hates you." A new number. "This is Pastor Ed. Your mother is distraught." I typed one line to the group chat and then muted for a year. "I'm not available for this." Then I called an Uber to the airport hotel because my apartment felt like a ghost had already moved in. At the hotel, I stood underwater, so hot it erased thought. After, I lay on the bed and stared at the ceiling. It wasn't peace exactly. It was a blank space where panic could have been and wasn't. I slept. No dreams. Woke at 2 a.m. to an email from my manager. Approved. Work from Lisbon. Send address when stable. Attached was a doc titled Global Work Tips. Bullet 1. Time zones are boundaries. I like that. At 5 a.m., I checked in for my flight. I took a photo of my empty key ring. I sent it to myself. Caption, room for new. On the way to the airport, the driver asked, business or vacation? Neither, I said. Life. He smiled like he'd heard that before. Security. Gate. A coffee. A text from an unknown number. Think of family reputation. Delete. Another. You will regret this. Maybe I would. Regret is a long game. So is decay. I chose the one where I could breathe. When the plane lifted, I looked down at the grid of my city, the small rectangle of my old block, the river that looked like tin foil. I didn't cry. My eyes stung and then cleared. Somewhere over the ocean, I opened my laptop and built a budget with euros. Line items that started with me. Rent I could afford. Groceries that didn't include guilt. A line for sardines as a joke to send my manager. A line called yes. Landing felt like stepping into a different frequency. The signs were in a language I was learning. The air smelled like coffee and sea. I caught the metro with a small suitcase and a bigger exhale. At the short-term rental, the host handed me keys on a ring with a tiny tile rooster. Welcome, she said. Thank you, I said, and meant it in a way I hadn't meant it in a long time. I put my folder on the table, opened my laptop, and sent one email to mom and dad with the subject, boundaries, in a single paragraph. I will not be sending money now or in the future. I am available for non-financial conversations after we have all cooled off. If you or Lena want help filling out actual forms, I can do that over video next week. If you send threats, group sermons, or lawyers, I will block. I love you from a distance that keeps me safe. Then I hit send, closed the lid, and went outside. The street was narrow and bright. Someone somewhere laughed. Not at me, just laughed. I bought a pastel de nata and ate it leaning against a sun-warmed wall. It tasted like something ordinary and kind. I didn't know what came next, but I knew it would be mine. A month later, my mornings are quiet. I run by the river. I work in a small room with a big window. I buy fruit from the lady who gives me an extra orange for luck. At night I read. Sometimes I take the long tram for no reason except the sound of it. The message is slowed. People tire of outrage when it doesn't feed them. Mom sent 2 paragraphs about forgiveness that didn't include the word sorry, and then silence. Dad forwarded an article about filial piety, with no comment. Lena sent a photo of a smaller apartment, and, below it, a question mark. I replied, proud of you. Need help with the form? We filled it out on a call. 20 minutes. No money. She cried at the end, not because I paid, but because I didn't hang up. There's an empty space where panic used to be. I keep it empty on purpose. I learned that boundaries aren't walls. They're doors you lock at night so you can sleep. I walk past a shop window some days and catch my reflection. Same face, different posture, less braced. If you need a moral, here's mine, simple and blunt like a good budget line. I am not a bank. I am a person. Love is not a direct debit. Family is not a subscription you can charge without consent. Your sister deserves your bonus, Mom said. My answer is still no. And now, finally, I am living a life where no is not a fight. It's a fact.